Hi guys, just here today with one of our awesome clients from Canada. She's just completed the Ultimate Mind Solution, which is an 8-week program that we run. It's a very individualized program. So I'd just like to welcome you, Denise. Say hi. And the first question straight away, what have you done in this self-help world before?
Actually, Tony, the easier question to answer would be, what haven't I done? I've done everything basically in every area of your life that you could examine. If there was a problem or issue or something that I wanted to change, I did a course, I went to a retreat, I did a seminar in the area of relationships, finances, sexuality, emotional things, healing the past, childhood resolution. Yeah, I've done so many different things.
And I remember at one point you actually gave us a number on how much that all cost.
Yeah, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, that's like the traveling and everything, and the time, the effort, a lot.
So you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on yourself.
Yes.
What was going on then? Why were you looking for another one? What was the thought process, and why did you come and search us out?
Well, interestingly enough, Tony, I wasn't actually looking for another program. I didn't want to have to do another program. I had made up my mind that I was never going to be doing another program. And I found myself in this deep, dark hole. I call it like a black hole, and I couldn't get out. I was at probably one of the lowest points of my life. I was shocked to be there. I really didn't even know what to do. I actually called a friend and just said, I don't know what to do. I'm at the lowest point in my life I've almost ever been, and I don't even know how to get out. To give you an example of how low I was, it's like I couldn't even see a light at the end of the tunnel. There wasn't even like a particle of light. Dark thoughts going through my mind that I couldn't stop, control, get a hold of. Just going through a lot of physical things. I had like rash all over my face. I was overreacting and I couldn't get out. Called a friend and said, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where else to go. And he had just finished your program. And I said, I can't do it. I cannot do another program. I'm not interested. Like, I can't believe that I'm at this place that I'm going to do another program. He just said, please just trust me. You've got to do it. And I gave you a ring. So
you're actually telling me you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on self-development, and you didn't have a tool to get out of a hole, or you didn't even know how you got in the hole to try to get out of the hole.
That was probably the most disturbing part, was I don't know how I ended up there. I don't know how I ended up at that place. And being at that place, even trying to remember or think of a tool that I may have had, didn't happen. It didn't happen.
That just fascinates me, because I remember our conversations when we started, and I realized you were there and you told me about that. And I was thinking, well, how does that happen? How do you spend so much money and time and effort, and you were actually doing the work, and still find yourself in a position where you don't have the tools to get out of that position?
Yeah.
So just describe some of the bits about where you were, what you're willing to disclose to the world about where you started, basically. So, because I think this will really help people, because there's a lot of people out there virtually in a very similar position to you when you started.
Mm-hmm. So it was virtually every area of my life. Yeah, every area of my life had been affected, and there wasn't really anything that was working. Financially, I was thousands of dollars in debt. working for a very low paying job at the time. Intimate relationships, not successful, not with my family, had disassociated from friends, lost my practice. I had a great clientele and a great business going for myself. That was gone. Physically, not feeling well. Like I had mentioned before, I had this rash going on. I was inflamed. My stomach was just turning all the time, high anxiety, nervous, like not myself, not who I thought myself to be at all. So, like I said, it was just the lowest point in my life I had ever been. In debt, didn't have any confidence. I had lost passion. Wasn't inspired, and that was my job. My job before as a life coach was to inspire others, was to motivate, was to be there to support them through their life. And here I found myself not being able to do that for myself. So
that's where you started. And we've actually just finished the Ultimate Mind Solution. So that's an 8-week program, very, very intimate, very one-on-one. We have a lot of contact in that process. And one of the reasons we're a little bit different, or a lot different to what's going on out there, it's not just a seminar where you're left by yourself.
Right.
So in 8 weeks, so this is 8 short weeks ago, tell me where you are today.
Well, if you would have told me 8 weeks ago that I would even be doing this interview with you and talking to people and telling you this is where I am 8 weeks later, I would say, Tony, you're crazy. And I would have to see it to believe it, because I was just that low. So where am I now? One of the biggest changes definitely for me is the internal change. So my emotions, being able to handle, stress, anxiety, physically the rash is cleared up. Just the way I see myself and see the world has drastically changed. You know what? I would have to say one of the biggest things that I noticed is, so it's not that I don't ever experience fear or, anxiety or a negative thought anymore. I do, absolutely. But what the significant thing about this program is the tools and techniques that I have been given and shown are so easy to use, and it allows me to recognize and be aware as the thought is appearing before it takes me down into a deep hole. Or if I start going down there, I can get out. I can get out on my own, and so quickly. So it's like I don't experience things for a long period of time if I even go in that direction. And in 8 weeks time, the changes are unbelievable.
So this is really important for people out there. How did you see yourself 8 weeks ago to how to see yourself now today?
Wow. I didn't like myself at all. I had a hard time looking myself in the mirror. I didn't want to get out of bed. It was like I had literally lost hope. And it would drive me crazy because I would see inspirational stories, or, oh, I came from this low place, but oh, look at me now, here I am now. And the thought was, yeah, that happens to other people, but that won't be my experience. I actually don't think I'm going to be able to get out of this one.
So when you called me for the first time and we had that chat, you actually came on board pretty quickly. Like, you actually signed up to do the program pretty quickly.
Yep.
We then started the program, and you know
I know where this is going.
You know it's going, don't you? I started to receive these emails. And it was really interesting for me. I started to receive these emails saying, Tony, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. I want to get out. What was going on in your head early on?
I recognized through that process that that is what has stopped me from doing and completing things in my life. The ego would come in and say, you can't do this. This is just another program. It's not going to work. I would get scared and I'd want to quit. I would just say, I would call you. I would email you and say, Tony, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this. This isn't going to work. And all this self-doubt just came flooding into my mind, and I wanted to quit. I wanted out.
And I wanted to come from you. What did we discover? And this was amazing because it was a first for me as well. What did we discover about this process we went through? Can you remember that bit? What was the reason I wouldn't let you go?
Because you recognized that it was my ego wanting me to stop. The self-sabotaging that would go on in my mind.
And what did you need? And what did you need from a coach? What did you need from a male?
Yes. It's funny because when you say, do you remember? Because one thing through this process, and I know that's why we're doing this interview kind of early, because even though it was so intense at that time, Tony, literally it is hard to kind of remember.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, did that really happen? Was that really where I was at? So because of the work that I've done with you and the processes that we've gone through, it is hard for me to remember. That doesn't feel like that was a part of my reality or my existence. It's literally gone from my experience. So I'm glad.
And that's really cool because it is gone from your experience.
Yeah.
As soon as your mind changes, you change. And it literally can be in one moment in time that our whole world changes from just a reprogram of the subconscious mind. So how did...
Right. So what we discovered, what we discovered. So I thought for sure. So I sent the first email and said, Tony, I'm done. I'm out. I quit. I can't do this. And you said, okay, let's just talk about it. Right. So we had a chat, we discussed some things, and I'm like, okay, I'll continue. You stood by me, believed in me, saw something in myself, in me, that I couldn't see for myself. So, I mean, I don't even know how much time went by, but another email came. I sent you another email, and I thought, oh, for sure this time he's going to say, okay, she really doesn't want to do the program. I'm going to let her go. I'm going to leave her, and I'll send her on her merry way. No. Okay, well, Denise, let's talk. I'm like, oh, God, okay. So we had another chat, and I thought, well, that's strange. He's not leaving me. He's not. In short, what I discovered was, in the past, men would leave me. They would leave and not work through these things with me. So all my abandonment issues and things about intimate relationships with men came up for me. And through this process, just of me wanting to leave the program and you sticking by me, completely changed that reality for me, because it wasn't just once or twice, it was a third time. And I was short with you. I wasn't being very nice. And I just said, Tony, this time for sure, don't talk to me about this. I am done. I don't want to do this. I wasn't being very nice at all. And I thought, okay. And subconsciously, recognizing subconsciously, I was trying to push you away. I was trying to, and I thought for sure, this will be the time. And you just said, I can't let you go. I can't let you go. I can't let you do this. You need this program. I can see how it's helping you. And it was like you believed in me, and you saw in me, you saw my greatness. You saw what I was capable of. You saw what was really happening, right? Fighting with the ego, all those limiting beliefs that were coming up. And it was so powerful. It was such a powerful experience.
So from my end, I had a similar sort of experience from my end. The first one, I just rang. I went, yeah, no, she's just in ego, so that's okay. Ring her up. Second one, same thing, just ring her up. Third one, my ego came out, and as a coach, my ego went, just let this stupid woman go. This is what my voice in my head was saying that, and I went, oh, I actually can't do that. I actually have to talk to her again and keep her in the program. And that was really mind-blowing for me as a coach, because if I listened to my ego, if I listened to my program mind, I would have been going, this silly woman, just let her go. She doesn't know what she's doing. She will get it down the track. But when we made that connection that it was really about this relationship with men, that blew me away, that just in the coaching side of things, I'm doing so much more than what I thought. Like, just a coaching experience for me.
Right.
So the biggest thing it changed is how you felt internally.
Yeah.
Where else has it affected your life?
Well, in 8 weeks' time, I moved. I moved cities, so I'm closer with my family. I changed jobs, and I'm earning double the pay that I was before. I sold my house that had been on the market for 18 months. I became debt-free. I'm at a plus in my bank account. I am closer with friends. I've developed friendships. I've started coaching again. And again, it's like, this is within 8 weeks. Like, even less, because those things started happening. I mean, the 8 weeks is just up now. So these sorts of things started happening like within 4 weeks. Things had already started transpiring internally and externally in my world. But at the end of 8 weeks, all those things that I just mentioned have now become a part of my reality.
So what was it that you learned in the program?
Wow.
So give me a couple of highlights about how, you've done so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't imagine there's too much more to learn if you've done so much. Like, seriously, I mean, I'm asking this question because, where were the bits that really made the difference, or what was the difference about this program to what you've done in the past?
So 3 things actually stick out for me. One is the work that we did on ego, how you introduced it, how much we worked on ego, how much I became aware of ego. We talked about ego, was huge. So
quick question. What do you recognize ego as now? How would you explain to someone the term you're using as ego now?
The term that I'm using, ego, would be ego is that voice that wants to protect me, but treats every single moment like it's life or death, right? So the ego is there to literally just save my life in a life or death situation. But what I recognized is that ego was treating every moment, right? So to do this interview would have been like life or death, all the things that the ego would be putting out, all those thoughts, right, about what this moment means or what this situation is about. It was like it ignites the fight or flight. And so being able to have a conversation with my ego, being able to say, ask it to leave the room, to leave, to basically do the opposite. Because if the ego's here just trying to save my life, but it's not a life or death situation, doing the opposite of what my ego is telling me is really, really quick, easy, and significant tool to use. So I love the work that we do around the ego, personifying it and helping me to become aware of it when it's there.
So the term we use for what we're doing there is, we call it 3D mindfulness. Mm-hmm. Because we're actually recognizing 3 aspects of, and we're giving it a greater importance of being able to pick up how you feel, what you're feeling, what's the voices in your head, how does it sound, and the visualization of your ego. Mm. So 3D mindfulness, so we actually have an instant way to control and track our negative thoughts, which create our negative emotion. Cool. So that's one. What were the two others?
The work that is done on the subconscious mind. Did not realize the programming in the subconscious mind, and that I was actually able to go in and change beliefs and change limiting beliefs, disempowering thoughts in the subconscious mind. I didn't know that I was capable of myself being able to do that, to go in and change those limiting thoughts, and that my actions were literally coming unconsciously from my subconscious mind.
So when you can recognize the ego, you realize you have a subconscious program, and then once you have that awareness, you then have the tools. So this is just what you're saying. You have the tools to be able to go and clear that subconscious mind so it never happens again.
And it's gone. Mm-hmm.
And the bit I think some people won't even recognize, and this is why like I said, we're doing this interview, is because you literally forget where you were 8 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
That light's gone.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. And the third thing?
The third bit that I love about this program is the one-on-one. It's not like I was at this seminar, given this information, given some ideas, now go home and use the tools, and left on my own. The one-on-one work that is done with each and every one of your clients is very significant. And it's day after day after day after day. It's right, because we're reprogramming the mind, right? Reprogramming, changing those neurotransmitters that are going through the brain, and it's day after day, and it's one-on-one. So it's like you don't just give the person a bunch of information and say, now go do this. You're literally there to support that client through the process. And that was really different for me.
So how did you find that, having contact with a coach virtually every day, virtually every day for the last 3 weeks of the program, first bit of the program, but there's some significant time we spend to teach you the tools.
Yeah.
So how did you find that? Like, how did it help you get through?
Well, one thing, so with the, say, homework and stuff that's assigned, there's some accountability, right? That I'm going to be talking with you. So it motivated me to make sure that I really wanted to work on the homework. But in the end, what actually motivated me the most to do the techniques and the homework was the results that I was experiencing. It was actually the results. It was like, why wouldn't I want to keep doing this? Because look at how it's changing. I don't want to go one day without doing this, because things are happening so rapidly and changing so much in my life that I don't want to. But so doing the homework, and it was just a continual reminder, right? So it wasn't like you were there if there were those moments where I was kind of going back down into that hole. So I didn't go down in there. And so staying up here, being able to continue to work on those limiting beliefs from a place of more clarity also helped significantly with the changes that I went through.
So we did an 8-week program. Your life virtually transformed from looking like one thing to being completely different. So moving forward, how do you feel you'll be able to cope with what comes at you now with the tools that we've learned in those last 8 weeks and the place you're at right now?
Extremely confident that, first of all, I'll never end up in a place where I just was, and that I will be able to use the tools and techniques to prevent me from going down into that space again, for sure. And just the confidence, I think.
How hard was it?
Hard?
How hard was it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I actually ever viewed it as being hard. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't hard at all. It's a very easy process.
And that's really cool, because you tried to quit 3 times.
You keep reminding me of that.
No, it's just to give you an example of where you were. Like, I mean, you were in a shitty place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything felt hard. Your whole life felt hard.
I'm glad you asked that question, because I didn't have the physical strength, the mental capacity, the desire to do a program. So if it would have been quote unquote hard, I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Oh, so cool. So the answer is that the program's actually easy.
Yes.
The tools and that you learn are easy.
Yep.
And we say, and life's not hard, right?
Exactly.
But you were in a hard part of your life and you got some really easy, usable tools to bring yourself out of that moment to the moment you are now.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing just came to me, Tony, about the question, what is different about this program than other programs is, first of all, the support that you give, the one-on-one experience, but it's how quick it works, how quickly the changes happen. And again, I believe that's another belief that we have, that things take a long time, or that it's really hard to do, right? Or it's going to take months and months and months until I'm at a certain place. And that's just a belief. And it's not true. It's not true. Things can change and do change very, very quickly, because the self-talk, the subconscious mind, the beliefs that are there, you're getting it at the root cause. You're going back and getting it at the root, so that belief no longer is in your experience. That when something appears in your external world and you're perceiving it, it is no longer perceived from that limiting belief anymore.
So our whole world can change in one moment by changing one significant limiting belief.
Yes.
That's really cool to see, that sort of process. When we started, this is a premium program, so it's not cheap.
Yep.
But you were in debt when you started, and then you went more into debt. What sort of value do you place on the investment that you placed in yourself with this program? And I know you've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past. So the investment you placed in the process with us, how do you see the investment paying you back?
You know, Tony, that's a really interesting question, because how can you possibly put a value when you feel like you got your life back? It's like you're asking a question, what would you pay to get your life back?
If you knew at the start what you were going to be like now, what would you pay for that?
I'd have to say hundreds of thousands. I have spent hundreds of thousands already. I mean, because to continue going through life the way that I was feeling and where I was at, what you'd have to ask yourself, I mean, why would you want to live? What would you want to live for? That's the way you're experiencing life.
Yeah, interesting. Because I understand exactly what you're saying, because I have the same sort of feeling when we found these techniques. We've just adjusted them to make them our own, and put our own process on it. But when we found a few little missing links in the self-help world, if I knew what I would have got out of it and where I'd be today 5 years later, anything. I would have paid anything just to be happy.
Well, and you know, look at what people do so that they don't have to feel certain things or deal with things that are in their life. The amount of money they spend on trips, the size of the homes they buy, or the toys, the drugs that are used, the alcohol, really, you know, because it can look kind of crazy, right? Let's just say you've never done a lot of work in the self-help industry, or so to hear this story and say, who spends, you know, that kind of money on self-development or self-improvement? But if you look at the other side, it's like, look at the money that is spent avoiding having to take a look at inside and what's going on inside.
There is no more valuable investment than you.
Because it all comes from here.
Yeah, well, our whole world's created inside us, so why wouldn't we spend money on working on ourselves instead of buying a bigger house? This is where, so we look at societal beliefs in the program, and this is where some of those things come from. If you were going to tell someone who's thinking about doing the mind mechanics method, the ultimate mind solution, what would you tell them?
Well, the short answer is do it. I mean, you won't believe how your life will change. But I'd also encourage them to really be aware, right? So there's no accident that they're either listening to this interview or that you've come into their life in some sort of way. I really encourage you, because this was my experience, is be aware of the voices in your head that's saying, oh, this is just another program, or it won't work for me. That's exactly why you would want to do this program, is because listen to the voices that are in your head as you're listening to this, right? Listen to the voices that's already there. Look at how the ego is already trying to stop you or scare you from doing something. And your program completely changes all of that. So be aware of that voice, and absolutely don't fear, the investment that you would be making by doing this program, because you are literally investing it in yourself and in your life.
Excellent. And one last thing from you. What would you like to finish off with?
I'm overwhelmed with the appreciation that I have for you, Tony, and this program and what it's given me. What I'm really excited about is I know I've talked about the changes that I've made in the last 8 weeks, but what I'm really excited about is what's possible for me in another 2 months down the road, another 6 months, in another year. If this is what has happened in these short 8 weeks, what else is possible? There's really no limit. And that's really exciting.
Awesome. So, and I'll finish off there with, there is no limits. And the beauty about what we're doing is, I'm no guru. I'm just a bullfed football player who learned a few tools about the mind. We've made it into a program. My wife and I have made this into a program, and our journey is just to help people. I'm no better or worse than you. I'm just one of the sparks in the world that is actually just delivering a message and helping people get out of their stuff. Because the thing that's missing, I believe, out there is the ability to do the work on the human aspect of who we are. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I love the fact I'm a coach and I live in Australia, and we've got clients all over the world, just like yourself in Canada. And we've never met face to face yet. We can touch lives like that just with the beautiful thing that we call the internet. So thank you for your time today. It's actually the middle of the day here. It's night over there.
Night for me, yeah.
Yeah. So thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.